part 4, 5. Who knows? Yeah, so it's gone into way more parts than I anticipated. Because we ran into some issues and some bits didn't go straightforward, and getting parts and parts that I bought didn't quite fit, so we're still waiting for the top hat, the end cap for the free hub, because the top hat end cap that I thought was going to fit, which is why I bought the quick release version, didn't fit. So who knows? We've ordered it anyway from AliExpress. You could specify the height and the width. The only thing I wasn't 100% convinced about was the height, but I'm pretty sure I've got the right width to get through, but it's whether or not it's got the right height. So we're going to have to wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, who knows. The rubber grommets and things that I've put temporary ones in are on the way, but the temporary ones are actually working quite nicely. So I just bought a selection of plugs for that. Brakes are bled. I've dropped this on, though it's not quite seating right, but they never work well anyway. So we'll see how that goes, let it bed in, let the cables sort themselves out. I just did that off camera. We're still going to put the bar tape on. Like I said, brakes are bled, we've got the new tyres on. The only thing we really got left to do now is just, well, is put the derailleur on. The power meter is definitely dead. So it had come back to life, but it's definitely dead. It was always going to be a bit iffy. I did find out why. It's because that power meter is designed for SRAM Force and SRAM Red chain rings. And this is an SRAM Rival chainring off the SRAM Rival dub power meter quark thingy I've got. So that's going to come off and go onto the crank, and I'm going to sell that as the whole lot. To be honest, I'll get more for it. Won't cover the cost of buying these, because for a set of all of them you're looking at about £100, but I managed to get a good deal. Lord Gun had a sale on, and I got the outer ring for about £60 something, and I got the inner ring for about £15, which is about right anyway. But I also picked up a Quark Force Red power meter as well for, they're normally about £400. That's what I was told that one cost that they swapped for the Defy, which is what replaced that. But I managed to pay 250 quid for it somehow or other, because I don't know what went on. The whole lot was going to cost £415, and then when I checked out, they only charged me 360 something for it. So I don't know whether there was even more discount than the discount that was on or whatever, but whatever happened, fucking good deal. So for 360 something pounds, I've got a brand new red Force chainring, inner and outer, and the Quark Force Red power meter, the same as the other one. So happy days. I've lobbed the pedals on just because I was sick of them all lying around. So they're on. Not wrong with them, don't need to do anything with them, just clean them up. And that's it. The chain's waxed, it's hanging on there. So the first thing we've got to do, the very first job we do before we do anything else, and I'll move you for this, is we've got to size the chain. And to size the chain for this type of group set, which is going to be slightly difficult because we've got wax all over the chain still, so it's a bit of a nightmare. I think I've said this before, don't wax a chain and then expect to set up your gears. Right, if it is a 2x system, so you've got 2 up the front, right, you only have an overlap of 1 link. And what they say from a link is, it's the smaller piece there, where it touches the first, where you can get the first full of the flat top part of a link, right, you should have 1 complete link. And what they mean by 1 complete link is that and that. So that's 1 complete link.
It's 15
so a smaller bit and a fatter bit, right? So when you pull it, I need to pull it so it's tight, and it's where, when it's on the biggest ring, so that's important, I forgot to mention that. So biggest ring front and back, even though it keeps falling off, alright? Biggest ring front and back, you pull it tight, right? And then you move it backwards to the next fullest length. See, I can't make that, but I can make that, right? And what I should have is one complete link. So that's that link, that link. Ignore that. That's the split pin. So that's exactly the right size. So we haven't had to cut this down, and I haven't had to buy another chain. So I'll call that a win. Right. You can ask me now, why am I sizing it for the 3611? Right, simples, right? Yes, I could have put the smaller one on, and I would have taken another another one link out of there, but then I wouldn't have been able to put this chainring on. Now, what you can do is, it won't affect, to my knowledge, how the derailleur works, because if I put the smaller chainring on, because you do this all the time on bikes, you drop your small chain, size it for your big one, put your smaller cassette on, because this is equivalent to that one down anyway, so it just means it's never going to be as stretched as maximum, but all the other gears are going to be exactly the same as this is anyway, because once I get down to the second one down, all the gears are in the same place anyway, and they've both got the smallest 10-speed cog at the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. All it does is, it means that I've got the potential now to use this bike if its majority of the ride is flat, but there are some really hilly bits in. I've still got a gear there, and I'm not going to compromise my setup. Also, I'm running a slightly bigger ring at the front than I'm running on the Di2, so I will get better bottom speed. So all in all, I think it's the right thing to do. Now, I might change my mind, or I might find out the geometry of the derailleur doesn't work like this, and because of the way it trapeziums in and out, that I end up with a problem. But we can always take a link out, we can't add one back in. So we'll go with this as it is at the moment. So I've got to do a couple other things now. We've got to attach the derailleurs, but you can't have the chain on to do that. So the chain's got to come off now. So we'll try and do this without mulling the thing. We'll just hang that over the bars out of the way. Everybody's going to be moaning. And I need to go and get the derailleurs. So I think we'll do the rear derailleur first, because that doesn't need any setup at the moment. You can't set it up until you've got the chain on. And we'll put the front derailleur on, and I'll show you what we do with that. Bit of light from that window over there, so I'll just turn you across a bit. Right, 5mm Allen key. Just be careful that you are missing so you've got to make sure that there is caught on that and not in front of it, or that way round. And that's the B stop. So that ultimately adjusts how far that guide pulley is away from there. And that is actually quite a common thing for poor shifting. So, and also it will manifest itself by poor shifting in the middle of the block too, which can be sometimes misdiagnosed as a bent hanger. Again, ask me how I know, but usually it's one of those two things. If you get inconsistent shifting, it's either not shifting in the middle, or it's not shifting at the top and the bottom. It could be either a bent hanger, or you've got your B-stop wrong, so it's not guiding the pulley properly. Right, with these, please do not wang them backwards in and out manually. You've got to do it with the controls, with either the levers up there or with the axis button there. So if you press that, it will move it that way. If you double press it, I think it moves it that way. I can't remember where this needs to be, but there are some adjustment screws, and it's got to be in a certain place before you start. And if you don't get it right and have your adjuster screws, your higher and lower, in the wrong place, and you press that button, you can damage it. I think it's more important for the front one, but please take your time, follow the instructions in the manual for these. Right, I'll go and grab the other one. Right. Now, this one, shove that in there, it's handy. So this one, you need the battery in to start off with. You can take it out afterwards, which I would recommend you do, but it's got to be in the outboard position, and at the moment I'm pretty sure that's in the inboard position. You've got to move it in the outboard position. That's their terminology, not mine. Little ring, big ring is what I would generally call it. So I need the battery on for this. And that's the axis button on this one. So if I press that now, there you go, that's in the outboard position. Inboard position, outboard position. So I'm going to take the battery off again, because I don't want to get my fingers stuck in it when I accidentally because it is a finger eater. They are geared very aggressively. Right, you can see I've inserted the setup tool. So you should get one of these with your group set. If you bought one second hand and you haven't got that, buy it. They're a couple of quid off Amazon. You should get them with it anyway. And that clips in there. It should be hard up against there. That should be hard up against there, and you'll feel it click into place. And what you do with that is, when it's in the outboard position, you sit it on there. And that basically tells you exactly where to fasten it in there. So I'm going to undo the screw. Now there is a block at the back of there which we may have to move, because that's the way it's set up for the bike that it came off. I think we have established that this came off a brand new bike that's never been ridden. It's just been stripped down for parts by the bike shop that was selling the bike originally, to try and recoup some costs on a bike that's so I think what I'm going to do is, because I can feel it pressing against that, I'm just going to slacken that off and move that out of the way. Just bear with me. Tempted to go and get my other. Right, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. They go in that way round, right, and it's a wedge, and what that does is that supports it against there. So I'm just going to move it as far out of the way as I can get it, right, and then hopefully it's not going to cause a problem anymore. I need somewhere to hand that. I'll shove it in my pocket. Right. So again, sit that on top of there, roll it round. Oops. It's going to be flipping awkward. Now there's some adjustment screws somewhere. Now one of them cranks it in and one of them cranks it out, and so just make sure that these are off. But I'll talk more about them in a minute. Because at the moment all you're bothered about is just screwing this onto here. Right, and then what you can do is you can get this thing at the back here and slide it in. Right, so that's now slid in. Can I get to this? I don't think I can get to the screw now. So I've slid it in, it's pressed in. Now I can't remember whether you do this before or after, but I think you do it after you've set it up, because this all might still move. Right, right, so we should be able to remove this now. He says, there we go. It doesn't want to come out. Let go. How on earth are you supposed to get that out of there? What's that? Stumped me. Am I missing something here? It's definitely... See, I can see that's under there, but... It's nearly out. There we go. Flipping heck. Right, now it says we've got to check everything's lined up. Which, that doesn't look like it is. That doesn't look like it's a million miles from being lined up. Right, so I think we need to adjust these. Because there's obviously some play in it. We've had that in there, and as we've tightened that up, that's pulled that into place. I think what we have to do is now keep going backwards. Right, so I'm just going to zoom you down here. We've still got that block to put in on the other side, so I'm kind of hoping that I can get to the Allen key from this side. Yes, just. What we're going to do is we're just going to nudge that across. So I've just tightened that up. Perfect, that's now pushed that bang on into the right place. Right, now what that does is that makes that a lot more stable. There's no chance it can move around. So hopefully that's that bit done now. Right, might as well leave you there. We now need it on the inboard position. So battery back on again. Right. Now, on here, there is a line, and I think it's that one there. What you want to be doing is that wants to be aligned with the outside of that ring. So at the moment, it's too low. So that wants lifting out. I think we've cracked it now. Another couple of iterations and we're there. Because that wasn't an easy process, and we've got that 1mm gap we're looking for. So the only thing we've got to do now is just check that the alignment is good on the lower part. So what's not clear is it this front bit, because it appears to be telling me it's this front bit that wants to line up with it, not this bit back here, which I would have to have a look at the Di2, because the picture of the derailleur is slightly different, but it's definitely saying this triangular bit at the front, but the picture on the thing looks different. Oh, I've just been doing wrong one, haven't I? Pretty much it. I've just checked the Di2, and it is definitely that edge, because it's got exactly the same derailleur on that edge is the, so that's assuming the defier's been set up properly. So I think that's the front derailleur done now. So all we've got to do is do the back derailleur. So you're next. Right, so it's a similar thing to last time. So this time it's the opposite way around. This one's got to be all the way inboard. And by default when they come, they're usually all the way on the lowest gear, on the highest ratio gear. Oh, no, it wasn't actually. So you have to double click this. Actually, I think I've got the shifters are set up. There we are. Right, so that's it. We're all the way out. Right, I think we're in the right. Right, we now need to shift this down to the second largest cog. So that should be that one. Right, gonna have to. Right, so you can do this using the levers. You have to hold the access button on the rear derailleur shifter, which is the front one. So that's the right shifter. No, yes. No, it's the left. No, there isn't no front. I'm thinking Shimano. Right, it's the left shifter. You have to hold the access button in, and then you have to press the shifter on the same lever, and it will move it that way. I think you do the same thing on the other one to move it the other way, or that's the one, or you do it on that side for micro adjusting that. But anyway, it's just easier if you use the app. So come into your app. So you've already synced it up and everything. I trust you know how to do that. Well, you need to have done this already to update the firmware. So drivetrain settings, micro adjust, right? So we are in the right gear. So we are in the second cog down, and what we want to do is move it. So all I'm going to do is keep, and you barely can watch it moving at all. Right, I think, hold on, move it back a bit. I think that's perfectly in the right place. So hopefully that's okay. We've done the adjustment on that. And there's helpful videos and everything that show you about that. It's even got links to helpful videos down there. Right, gear displayed above. 2, gear 2, correct. We've done that. Cool. Right, let's leave that now, because I think that's in the right. Right, so I've just adjusted the gear up now so it's under number 1, and we need to adjust the limits. So again, it's the, I believe it's the 2, it could be wrong, it could, no, it's the 2. So we need to adjust these, which you can't really see, but they're under there. Well, let me see if I can get you to see. I'm not have you down there while I do it, but you just have to adjust. So what we're doing now is we're adjusting that screw there, which is the upper limit screw, onto there, just so it snugs up tight. I will try and do it while you're here. So it wants to be the point where it's just touching it, but not moving it. I think that's it, right? Best way I've found is to do it up until it starts to move and then undo it. And then you know you're good. Actually, I've got a white background behind me, so I can see the point where it actually catches. Right, so that one's done. Now I'm assuming we go and do the bottom. So it was right, smallest cog now. So just out of my own personal interest, I'm just going to see how that lines up. That looks like it lines up perfect. So this time we're going to do the same thing again. But this time we're going to adjust that one. So again, same thing again, wind it in, 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 till it just touches. So you can just see it move a little bit. It also says when it's at the top, don't worry about if it hits the thing, it's just the alignment of the thing. When you get that down there, it'll be in a completely different place, so don't worry about that. It depends on your spoking and the geometry of the rear wheel, I should imagine, for a lot of that. Right, I think we might be nearly ready for the Nearly forgot, most important bit, the B screw. This is the bit where that makes the magic happen. Right, so we've got another gadget here. XPLR, that's the gravel chain sets. And these are the max 33, max 36 tooth. So that's for this. So this needs to go in there to set up the gap now. Now I can't remember whether you do this with the chain on or off. You must do it with it on because it's the next thing in the book that you do. So, interesting. Right, let me just go and check the orientation. So what you do, as long as you get the teeth lined up with them and that's resting on the top of the tooth, what you're looking for is those teeth there are resting on that 5mm line, depending on the cog. So 35, which is what we're going to put on, the 33, which is what we're going to put on, still has the same gap. So when we put that on, we will have to adjust this back up to make it fit the other one when we put it back on. But we'll do that when we put it back on. At the moment, this is adjusted for this one as it stands at the moment, which I must admit is not something I've done with the Shimano's in the past until it's not shifted very well. But that's generally what you notice is when you swap the cassettes off it, suddenly it stops shifting. So we're just going to check each of the gears now, but I'm going to give it a chance to rotate in each one. Oh, that was interesting. What happened there? No, that's working fine. See, we can go back up now. Oh, that's not so good. Right, so I'm just going to micro adjust this one because it's not quite right. So I'm going to move it so you can select what gear you're in. It should tell you what gear you're in, right? And it's not quite on there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to micro adjust it until this goes in. There you go. One more for good measure. Let me come out of that. We'll try that again. So what I'm listening for is it's a clean change. Right, so that wasn't a clean change. So for that one I'm going to bring it this way until I get a clean change. Right, so I've just moved it that way, a couple. We'll just see if that works. We just get a clean change. That's better. Check it goes up. Check it comes down, that's it. That's it. Now we're just going to check it's going up. Nice and it's a quick clean. Right, now we're going to drop it down. We're just going to check a couple of times that we can move it up and down, which is hard to do. Yeah, and down. So that's okay. These are a bit prone to chucking rings off, so it's probably easier to get somebody to do the gear change for you with this one. But now we're going to go through the gears again. And just check again that everything's lined up. That dropped down nice, and again, and again, and again, and again. Chain's a lot slacker now. Oh no, it won't let me go any lower because it's a fail-safe. It won't let you go onto the bottom cog on the little ring because it's too slack and you're overcrossing anyway, but to be honest you shouldn't be anywhere near that at that point. Anyway, I'm just going to run it through again because there was a couple I thought were a little bit hesitant, but we'll take it back up now and see what happens. Nice, now we'll go back down again. Yeah, that one there, I'm going to alter that. Doesn't want much, just wants to come this way a little bit. Right, so just move it one. Oh, that was a little bit stuttery. I've moved it a fraction inboard. We're going to have to do this again when the chain's bedded in because some of this might be the chain. Now, having set up a few Di2s, I think that is a lot more configurable than, and a lot more adjustable than the Di2s. This wax is going to be everywhere. You've got to keep brushing it off because you don't want it to melt on the frame, or you've got to get some cleaner and clean it off properly. But no, I think we're good here. That's straight up, no problems at all. it's automatically adjusting. You know, when I went off the little ring, it dropped it down 2 on there. So it's doing the adjustment. Got wax all over my derailleur. Keep the fingers out of the wheel. But that's it. So I think that's cracked it. This is all set up, so I can go and give this because it's a complete fresh build, and this bike was never designed to run a 12 speed. It barely, the Di2 disc was in its infancy when this bike was built. I think it was one of the first ones that had full hydraulic discs in. As you'll have seen, the TCR I did the other day, that I think was a 2017, year before, didn't even have Shimano hydraulics on the back, and had that silly Boss thing up the front as well. So we'll see how it goes, but probably not going to get to run it in the next few weeks, because but I have got to run it within, it's possibly the bike I'm going to do Bamber in, but not sure yet. I'll probably take the Defy because it's just lovely. Oh yeah, pigeon, squirrel, fucking hell, concentrate. That's on order, so we'll probably do a video with just finishing this off. I'll do the bar tape as well at the same time, and I'll put the proper back wheel on, and then I can put these to one side ready for summer. We are so close to summer. It was forecast to be a shitty day on Sunday, which is why I didn't do this on Sunday. And I ended up going out on the Defy, and it wasn't a shitty day. It was actually brilliant. Really fucking windy, and I chose the wrong route, but that's my own stupid fault. But I kept it in zone 2, so Coach was happy. So all's good there, but it's there. We're tantalisingly close to it starting to be warmer weather. I can get the summer bikes out. I can put the summer wheels on the Defy. What I might do with this actually is I might chuck it on the turbo trainer, just to break the chain in and to check all the gears and everything are okay. So I think that's probably what I'll do, which does mean I need to put the Shimano 12 speed on the thing, but I'm not that bothered. It's really, really, really easy to adjust. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over that, and it will fit, because that's a 3411, so I'm not going to have any problems fitting it in. So all's good on that front. Like I said, eventually on the Propel original wheel, I will have the smaller cassette, so I will have to adjust that back up there, and then we'll see how we go. But generally it's not a massive issue. Some gear sets are more sensitive than others, but with the Shimanos you could go from a 32 down to a 28, and you didn't really need to adjust that, to be honest. But we'll see how we go. There is wax everywhere, and it's really annoying me because it's going to start sticking to the frame. But hey ho, it's better than oil, I suppose. Right, that's it. Finally, we're almost there. Like I said, just bar tape. Swap the power meter out, that's a 2-second job. Just get the crank out, undo millions of bolts, put the new one on, put the new chain rings on, bob it all back together, strip that lot back down, chuck it on the other one, get that flogged. So that's going to get flogged. So I've got a rival power meter, single-sided power meter with a Quark power meter in it. That's going to be off sale. Again, brand new, never been used. I have got I've got the Giant double-sided power meter that's going to be up for sale. I've decided to sell that one, not the carbon K-light that I've got on there, mainly because I just don't want the hassle of trying to sell that and then explain to somebody they need a different bottom bracket. Right? Nobody explained that to me. It took me ages to work out you need a specific bottom bracket. You can't just use a Shimano bottom bracket. The bottom brackets for the carbon ones are slightly smaller. You can use it on the FSR alloy cranksets with a Shimano bottom bracket, but for the carbon ones they are about 0.5 millimetre shorter, and you have a different spacer in, and it's a pain up the arse, and they're bloody expensive. They're about 50 or 60 quid just for a bog standard bottom bracket. So that, if I sell it with the Power to Max power meter on, it's probably only worth about 120, 130 quid. But that Power to Max power meter is way better than all the other power meters I've got. It's just that it's old, right? I've ridden that through winter when it's -2. It still works, and it was giving me consistent power. The Giant one's rechargeable. It's worth a lot more money. I don't need it, so I'm going to sell it and let people know who are buying the group set that is also available. So if they've got a Giant or whatever, they can lob it on, and they've got a full Di2 with power meter that's all compatible and all runs together. And I can give them options of rings as well, because I've got a set of rings and that, and all the charging cables and everything. I think I should get about, I'm going to ask 500 for the Di2. I'll probably sell it to 450 to anybody from the club who wants it. I think I can probably get about 200 to 250 for the power meter, which will be fine, because in that case then I'll have covered the cost of most of this group set, not including the power meter, because that's just something that's happened that I couldn't use this. I am going to send this off to buy it, fix it, bloke who does the electronic stuff. I'm not going to muck about with it, because I think there are some screws, but I think either the battery's failed or something's failed on the charging. They're not as waterproof as they should be, right? Everybody has the same problem. I wasn't even cleaning it when it got wet. I went out for a ride. It was working fine at the start of the ride. It went off. I just thought it had gone to sleep, because it's done that before. Got home, didn't wash the bike. Went to get on the bike the next time I went out, and the power meter wasn't active. So did all the usual checks, contacted Giant. Giant said, yeah, we know that's a bit of an issue with them. Send it in, we'll have a look at it. And they just swapped it, no quibble, for a Quark. But interestingly, they gave me that back. But then about a week later, it suddenly started working. It charged up, and when you spun it round, all the lights started flashing. You can talk to it. Now, the reason I know it's not fully foobarred is because when the power's on it, and it's plugged in, I can connect to it on the Bluetooth, and it works, right? As soon as I unplug the power, it dies. So I think there's some problem with the running off the battery, or the cells have failed themselves and shorted. So I'll be interested to see what it is. But hey ho, finally we can get out and ride this one. I do need to give it a quick wipe over, because it's got all my mucky fingerprints all over it. But doesn't it look? Do you know, it's a much prettier group set. It just looks the biz. You can see why Rival is equivalent to the Ultegra, and they were saying that this wasn't the better. The new Rival derailleur is supposed to be really good. It's just the crankset that's really shit. They haven't trickled down, and it's quite a heavy lump, even though they've taken a big cutout out of it. But so apparently the dream ticket, if you want the best group set value for money, is the Rival group set, but on a forced crankset. Well, I picked up a forced crank for really cheap. They were selling them off on, I think it was bikeparts.co.uk, were selling these off, and they were actually cheaper than the new Rivals. So this is the D1, so this is the D1 Rival, this is the D1 Force, so it's compatible, right? And the power meter I've bought is the D1, and I've bought the D1 red Force chain rings for it as well. So everything's as it should be. I think this is going to be such a different bike to ride now. Interested with the brakes, because obviously the one thing that Shimano did was the brakes were really good with the cooling and everything. But I've heard that these are actually more aggressive. So I'll be interested to see that. I'm just wondering about heat management, especially when I'm descending, because I did cook the SRAM brakes, sorry, the Shimano brakes a couple of times. Anyway, squirrel, we're off again. Right, hope that's been interesting, especially the setup shit of that. If we want to see more of that, because I'm probably going to have to do it again when I switch everything else and retune stuff up. But now I know how to do it from scratch, because I've never done it before. I have tuned the Defy slightly, because it was chucking the chainring off, and I found that wasn't quite lined up. But now I see how difficult it is to line that up. I can see why from the factory that wasn't lined up properly as well. But no, it's And apparently one of the most common reasons these don't work is because people haven't put the block in the back. So that's got the block in the back, so that should work fine. Just hope I've put it in the right way up. But hey ho, all good. Cool. Right, like and subscribe. Tick that button, it helps massively if you give me a thumbs up as well as a subscribe. Comments in below, I'll try and answer all the questions. God knows when this is going to hit. I haven't published or done any of the videos from any of the other stuff yet, so all loads and loads to go. It probably won't, by the time this hits, I might have even done Bambra. So I'll probably be able to give you a post-ride recce on it all, but let's just have a look at that. Oh, it's just bike porn, isn't it? Especially on this, because I think this colour on these, okay, the Defy is beautiful, it's a stunningly beautiful bike, but I think that colour scheme on that bike, it just says fast. Somebody at the club's got the green one. I love the orange one. It's just awesome. Right, done, squirrel.